I'm actually a little nervous to be here.
Hard Rock.
There's been a lot of controversy. There has been some historical drama.
Hard Rock.
I haven't updated the site.
Hard Rock.
And because it was last week, I have since forgotten exactly what the list looks like.
Hard Rock.
And I'm here to tell you that after a year plus of doing it, it's really just absolutely impossible.
Hard Rock.
Because I won't be one of those people that go in for the shuffleboard, event that's at 4 o'clock.
Hard Rock.
Talk to me like I'm not there. That's my personal favorite.
Hard Rock.
You can take almost anything with a grain of salt, but if you have high blood pressure, you should probably not take the grain of salt.
Hard Rock.
Basically everything that we've accomplished over the year, which is very, very small, which is why it all fits in 20 minutes.
Hard Rock Lunchbox.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome everybody to the year 2024. It is a beautiful, currently January 4th, 2024. How is everybody doing? How has everybody survived the new year thusly? Actually, I gotta turn my headphones down. You think you don't like me screaming in your ear. I really don't like me screaming in my ear. How is everybody doing? I'm excited to be here. I'm actually a little nervous to be here. Why, you ask? Why you didn't ask? Because it's the top 23 countdown of 2023, and this is a big baller kind of show. Now, this does not have all the pomp and circumstance of other award shows, and we give out exactly 0 awards here. However, for the past 10 years of this show, I gotta say, this has been a pretty big deal. There's been a lot of controversy. There has been some historical drama. So, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. What's really cool is that I actually did the list last week, like right after last week's show. So I would get all the numbers in. And because it was last week, I have since forgotten exactly what the list looks like. So I guess I'm going to be just as surprised as everybody else. And isn't that what the troops are actually fighting for? Probably not. But I figured maybe. So because it's a countdown show, we're going to be doing the top 23 of the year 2023. And that means the 23 most played songs. The only band that I'm exempting or accepting out of that list is my own. If you want to hear Revel 9, tune in other times or go check us out. Revel9.com or on Spotify. Probably don't do Revel9.com. I haven't updated the site in forever. So just go to Spotify or Apple Music. We've actually been ticking up in Apple Music lately, which is interesting. I never really understand how that works, and maybe one day I will, but probably not. So we'll keep it a very short top 20 today. I only got a couple things to say, but then we'll get on to the countdown, because truly, that's why everybody is here. And by everybody, I mean barely anybody is here. And that's cool. That's all right. I am very proud of myself. I did post that the top 20 is out today. That almost never happens because I've been complaining about it forever that I always forget to do that. But I posted it first thing this morning up on Instagram in my little stories there, saying that the top 20 is out today. I would check that out. It would that's the titled "If I Was a Reddit Thread." I think they're always funny. I always like the intro. If nothing else, just like it, subscribe. Put a comment. I'll get to the comments eventually. Hopefully this weekend. I'll get back to them. But it's basically the one where I talk about the origin of creation, so obviously it's funny. Laziness v. narcissism and how that tends to work out. And basically everything that we've accomplished over the year, which is very, very small, which is why it all fits in 20 minutes. Check that out. Bacon is my podcast. They released the Bimpy Awards on New Year's Eve. I am featured prominently in there as a performer. I do a stripped-down version of Aaliyah. If you're interested, go check that out. I will not be posting it to the Revel 9 socials for a little while, so at the very least you have to go over to Bimpy to watch it. But it's cool. It's like the second performance, I think, so give it a look. I did it right here in the studio, but I did it from a different angle if you're interested in that sort of stuff. Had fun playing with the cameras. I want to say that I'm getting better at this sort of thing, but I'm just not. So go ahead and watch it. If nothing else, it's a really nice version, and I'm not just saying that. I think it's a really nice version of Aaliyah, and Aaliyah is going to be the next Revel 9 single, probably out sometime in February if I can ever settle down to do the goddamn artwork. There is no discussions and drinks, mainly because Mike and Jimmy are lazy. I assume that's the reason. I don't know. It's probably just holiday related, but I'm sure they'll get back to it by next Wednesday, so check that out. And that's basically it. A fairly empty housekeeping list. I guess the one thing I really just wanted to address kind of quickly is something that sort of came up in my own life over the past week. There is a lot of stuff in the world, obviously. And we talked briefly about this last week, where we were saying, like, the world is like an angrier place. Like, a lot of people are like, why are things this way? Like, why are people acting this way? And the reason that is because there's a lot of instability, there's a lot of hostility, and there's a lot of animosity in the world. And as much as I am trying, and I keep saying, I keep trying to sort of bring myself around to the other way of thinking. Like, basically trying to lose my moral center, right? Like, I feel like I spent 2023 trying to ignore everything that I hold to be true. My morality, what I know to be true, how I treat others, those kinds of things. Trying to let some of that go. And I'm here to tell you that after a year plus of doing it, it's really just absolutely impossible. Like, and this is going to sound simple and probably stupid, and I'm sure something that everybody already knows about themselves already, but if you're born an asshole, like, yeah, you're probably going to be an asshole. You can change out of that, but I find it very difficult to go the other way. If you're born with a certain core, like a certain center, and a certain attitude about people and why we're here, it's very hard to go the other way. It's very hard to be intentionally a dick if you aren't naturally that way. And you know, in discussions that I've had over the past year, trying to filter things through that lens, like, I've really, really tried. Like, I've said it a bunch of times, so you guys are probably sick of hearing it, but, like, the reality is like, if there is another Trump presidency and there is some sort of, like, you know, Republican overthrow, basically, of the government, you know, they take more of the House, they retake the Senate, they take more governorships. The reality of it is, like, as a straight white Christian male, like, I really do hold the keys to the kingdom. And I've said that phrase 100 times, not necessarily for your benefit, but just so that my own brain can hear it and so that I can sort of internalize it. And like I said before, like, all that effort has paid off exactly zero dividends because I just can't do it. There is something to be said for things that are just actively wrong. And, you know, it's the thing that basically drove me off social media because I can't fight those fights anymore. I feel like there was some point in doing it when other people were still on, that were still, like, looking for answers and were swayed or interested by things that were going on. But now, like, you know, stuff like Facebook and even Instagram to a degree are just filled with, like, misinformation and selfish propaganda and all those other things. And, like, I understand, like, just as well as anybody, maybe even better than most, like, people do not want to keep spending money on people that don't want to help themselves, right? So people generally look at it like, all these poor people are lazy. But that's not true. Some poor people are just poor and need help, right? You can't exclude everybody because there's some bad apples, right? We just can't. It doesn't work the other way either. But for some reason, people just get so mad at people that just haven't lived up to their expectations. And as soon as you put it in those perspectives, you start hearing about mother issues and father issues, and it's like, yeah, it didn't live up to expectations. Wow, that seems pretty common to the human condition. And now it's just sort of expanding out because people are just mad all the time about whatever it is that they just heard. And I would encourage you, after I've done this sort of experiment, that I'm abandoning, by the way. I cannot do it. As much as I want to pay less taxes, I can't let people just starve in the street. I can't do it. And it's going to be fun when I get to heaven and I'm sitting on the other side of the gate, because I won't be one of those people that go in for the shuffleboard, you know, event that's at 4 o'clock. Like, I'm going to sit at the gate and I'm going to watch all these people that I've argued with on Facebook try and talk their way into heaven and explain away why they hate poor people, why they're trying to take away rights from gays and lesbians, and why they are insisting on telling people what they can do with their body, while insisting that people can't tell them what they can do with their body when, in terms of, you know, vaccines and stuff. And by the way, my stance on vaccines should be very clear at this point. But I truly believe that if you are that person that can really rally behind, like, really bad behavior, then you're just a bad person. Because I have tried. I have tried for an entire year to be that person and can't. And so I'm going to do my absolute best to sort of wash my hands of that condition and wash my hands of that situation. And I'm going to try and go back to that very pre-COVID way of just not knowing this about other people. And I find that the more I stay off of social media and the more I don't interact with people, the less I think that they think these horrible things. And I got to tell you, I'm a little happier for it. And there were a lot of people that were telling me I probably would be, my family included, but plenty of other friends were like, maybe you'd be happier not doing that. And I am. Now, the loss, I consider, is information to people that were looking for information. So as I fade away from more and more posts and stuff on social media, like, if you have any questions, man, just ask. Like, ask here. Send me something to the show. Like, we'll talk about it on the show. If you have a question about what's going on with the Jeffrey Epstein list, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. Is Bill Clinton on it? Yeah, sure. Is Donald Trump on it? Absolutely. Is Joe Biden? Nope. So, I mean, two of those people are running for president. One is just like a doddering old fool that like kind of got a blowjob from an intern. Like, was he on Jeffrey Epstein's list? You betcha. But that ship has sailed. And if you're going to let people just complain about that so that they can exonerate their false idol, then think about what we're actually talking about here. So if you have a question like that, send it my way. Maybe we'll talk about it on the box, or I'll just answer you, whatever. And if you don't want my take on things, that's fine too, because I've got an awful lot of good music and I can just roll into that. I'm going to try doing the new format next week where I start doing a little bit more local music in the first hour of the show along with the top 20, and then just your typical mix at the back end, and we're going to see how it goes. It could suck, but you know how to reach me, 99 WNRR. Be part of the conversation, be part of the chat. Tell me what you think. Don't tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. Talk to me like I'm not there. That's my personal favorite. I do like that. I like being third party in a conversation that I'm actually there for. Like, I really super enjoy that. So feel free to be part of that. But in the meantime, it is now after 12:10, which means I am definitely going to run out of time before this countdown happens. So we might as well get some things started. Again, we're doing the top 23 songs. That is the 23 most played songs of 2023. And coming in at number 23 by a nose, by the way. Well, it depends on the kind of nose. I don't want to get into any ethnic jokes, but you could pick a good sized nose. Yeah, I was surprised they weren't higher, but considering how many songs I play for them, don't forget that a band where I play a lot of songs from tends to get burned on this one, right? Because I spread up their stuff. If you have a band that only has one good song, you tend to do a little bit better, so you can take all that with a grain of salt. In fact, you can take almost anything with a grain of salt, but if you have high blood pressure, you should probably not take the grain of salt. And that's how I'm leading 2024. That's my salt advice. But on with the countdown.